bringing more calves into the herd because they'll be sterile. All right. So anyway, that is that. That's the cutaneous. The raphe is the mid-ridge. It separates the testicles into the testes into the scrotal sac into two separate pouches. That's called a raphe. Then there's also some muscles. There's a septum. Septum is there's a separate in the middle there. It's made up of the fascia and the dartus muscle. The dartus muscle is found in the subcutaneous tissue of the scrotum as well as in the septum. Contraction of that will cause wrinkling of skin of the scrotum and so forth. Then there's a muscle right here called the cremaster muscle, and that will elevate the testes. That will elevate. That's just another part of the anatomy. These are just anatomical terms of male anatomy. And so there's the cremaster muscle, a small circular band of skeletal muscle that elevates the testes upon exposure to cold. But that's just some of the terminology right there. And this is just kind of showing right here. This is out of one of you. I don't know if this is out of your book or one of the others. But that thing right here, this right here is the spermatic cord. And in that spermatic cord, see, there's an artery, there's a vein, there's lymph vessels, and you'll also see in the spermatic cord right here, you will also see the vas. Did you see vas deferens up there labeled? Where do you see it? Ductus deferens, vas deferens, right there. That's also a major part. Now, vasectomy involves going in here and cutting the vas deferens and tying that off. That's a vasectomy. And a vasectomy is a surefire way of sterilization in the male. That will sterilize the male. And, you know, the vasectomy will. And so, but anyway, there's also nerve in there. Nerve, and then see, there is the penile urethra in there, in the penis. That's just it right there. And so this is just kind of showing some of the anatomical things. The raphe in the center, the skin of the scrotum, etc. And that's just kind of showing all that stuff. All right, so now, right here, the scrotum controls the temperature of the testes by contraction, and I mentioned that earlier. One thing I'm getting to right here, production and survival of sperm require a temperature that is lower than body temperature. And that always kind of make people aware of that just a little bit, that it requires that. And there was a friend of mine, Ted Novoside. Ted Novoside was an old Aggie. He and I grew up together. We started the school together in grade 1. And Ted, he played football. He was kind of a bigger guy, and he played center on the football team, and he was played in the outfield on the baseball team. But I remember when we were in junior, we called it junior high school. I think they call it middle school now. When we were in junior high school, Ted was diagnosed with an undescended testicle. All right. Now they gave him back in those days some hormonal treatment for that. It might have been before then, I think, he was diagnosed with that. Well, he got through that okay. But in later life, later on, Ted went on to graduated from College Station up there and went on to medical school. He became a family practice doctor in Bryan, Texas. And he and I were very good friends. He was 11 months younger than I am. In fact, his birthday is October the 15th. And mine is November the 15th. And he was we were just good buddies all through school. All just good friends. Ted ended up having testicular cancer later in life. He did survive. They had to remove a testicle. He also had some problems later on involving the very unusual, the tricuspid valve. Supposedly, that came about as a result of his cancer treatment. It's radiation. Ted died in 2000, right before the turn of the 21st century. He died at a relatively young age. And in fact, I got a message from his wife, Linda, is a nurse up in College Station now. She works up there in that. I got a note from her on Facebook, as a matter of fact. And she was reminding me, she had wished me happy birthday. And she said, you know, Ted, we had a reunion not long ago. said Ted would have enjoyed being there. And she said, I think Ted was a month older than you. And I wrote back to her and I said, no, it's just the opposite. I am 11 months older than Ted. He started to school when he was 5, and I was 6. He started first grade way back then. And so, but anyway, he was a great guy. He was a fun guy. But anyway, the temperature is about 3 degrees, so I mentioned that right there. Oh, I didn't mean to do that one.